When a tree dies, the forest doesn't mourn the tree. The tree sort of falls to the ground and becomes part of the other trees, right? And I think that nature sort of informs my spirituality on that, right? When people die, I don't think they leave me. I think there is much with me, maybe more with me. I was born in Washington, D.C., super close, extended Irish Catholic family. The church was the center of everything in our lives. You know, on paper, pretty ordinary. In private, a different story. Lots of addiction in the family through multiple generations. I used to say I grew up in what felt like a circus. And a therapist once said, Mark, people like going to circuses. But, we were taught to keep that secret, right? The external life looked good. That became problematic for me at a pretty early age when I realized that I was gay. Learning to keep secrets helped me stay in my addiction. I went away to college. I never let myself use substances. Moved back to the DC area because that's where my whole family is, and family was everything. Like, that was the core of my life, was family. And at church one day, I met someone who came up and asked me for my phone number. That person would become my husband. My bishop wasn't happy. He said, I was kicked out of the Catholic Church, and went home and told my parents what I was doing, and my parents disowned me. My family was gone, my vocation was gone, my church was gone, my network was gone. My oldest sister was the only member of my family who maintained contact with me. And about a year and a half later, she took a prescription antibiotic that was prescribed for her there at the hospital, had an allergic reaction, went into anaphylaxis, and died. That death was the first really cataclysmic loss in my life, because I didn't know how to do grief. I didn't know how to feel things, right? We were taught growing up not to feel anything. I didn't know how to process that level of grief. And that was the first time that I very consciously used a substance, alcohol. I drank so I wouldn't know what was happening inside of me, right? I could not handle the feelings that I was feeling. I didn't know how to talk about them. I didn't know what they were called. All I knew was I wanted them to stop. So the more I drank, the less I felt. That was when my addiction really started showing up. And I was an addict all my life. I mean, I can look back to childhood and think, if, there was a bowl of M&Ms, my siblings would grab, a handful, I'd eat the rest of the bowl, right? I mean, like, there's always been a part of me that just wanted more. I had an injury and I went to a physician who said he was probably going to need to do surgery on my leg, but in the meantime, he was going to give me some pain pills. I had never used pain medication. I just had never had any real reason to. And so he gave me a prescription for pain pills. By 8 o'clock the next morning, all of them were gone. I was still functioning. I still had a full-time job. My partner had no idea what was going on. I needed more to get to the same level of numbness. One day I woke up and just decided I'd had enough, and a friend of mine intervened. So I checked myself in to a detox. One day at a time adds up over time. It's crazy. It's only since I got into recovery and have actually started doing some of the work that I've looked back and realized, wow, there's a lot to process in a life, right? 4 of my siblings are now dead. 2 of them of this disease. While grief sounds horrible, right? It's like, nobody wants to talk about grief. Grief is actually really powerful and really lovely when you take the opportunity to embrace it and to learn from it.